All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to FFG Live. Hopefully, you can hear us and see us. Our cameras may be in some level of interference from the elder ones, but such is the way of streaming out of the office. Hello, welcome to my co-stars, Matt and Jeremy. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. Everyone's staying safe, staying healthy.
Yeah. I don't have a work office, so I'm streaming out of my bedroom.
All right. Well, it appears to be my camera in particular that has been tampered with, but we'll see. Perhaps Cthulhu will grant us glimpses of. Okay, so we're here to talk about obviously the Innsmouth Conspiracy. You might just have to be content with hearing the sound of my voice rather than seeing me. So we teased this expansion a couple of weeks ago by showing off the title and the cover art, and now we're ready to discuss it in much more detail. So in a nutshell, what is the Innsmouth Conspiracy expansion for Arkham Horror the card game?
We just got joined by another host. This is my cat. The Innsmouth Conspiracy is the 6th deluxe box for Arkham Horror the card game, which is really exciting. What's cool about this box is we wanted to shake things up a bit. So there's some new mechanics, as we announced previously. There's a new punch board, which is brand new, new tokens for the first time in the game. So hopefully this box, along with the starter decks that we're adding around the same time, is going to really breathe a lot of new life into the game in terms of player cards, new player card mechanics, and just expand really what Arkham Horror the card game can do.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite settings, Innsmouth, so I'm very excited to see when this comes out and what the players think. There's a lot of cool stuff in here.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So we'll get into a lot of the tokens and whatnot. But first, I guess, so this is now the 6th deluxe expansion / campaign for Arkham Horror the card game. And when you're starting in on an entirely new campaign, what do you consider in terms of themes and mechanics? I imagine that you have kind of a mental list, at least, of what you're considering.
Yeah, I mean, we come up with we have a lot of different settings planned, so we kind of come up with a list of different moods and themes that we can explore for different settings. So for Innsmouth, we wanted to sort of capture this moody, kind of grimy, decrepit town, but it's got this layer beneath the surface of this mystery of what's going on, what really is going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain. And that's kind of where the conspiracy angle comes in. And now I'm garbled.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
My next.
Jeremy.
All right. This will forever be known as the Innsmouth look.
Yeah, right.
There we go.
Camera. But yeah, we definitely have like a list of things that we want to explore with different campaigns and different themes that we want to hit.
That's awesome. So Innsmouth is obviously, as we've kind of touched on, a fan favorite setting and something that's been requested pretty much since the game came out. What's most compelling about this setting and this theme for each of you, and some of the things that you could really only do here?
So I think the big thing with Innsmouth is kind of, as I was saying before, there's this no one's on the stream anymore. There's this idea that under the surface, am I still audible?
Uh-oh. Can you hear us? Let us know if you can hear us.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Wow. Well, welcome to the Arkham Horror the card game podcast, I guess. I think what's most compelling about this setting is the idea that when you arrive in Innsmouth, you feel like an outsider. There's this feeling that like everyone is in on something that you're not privy to. You know what I mean? And there's that fear that like you've arrived somewhere that you're not supposed to be, and everyone's staring at you and everyone's giving you looks like who is this outsider? You know what I mean? My cat is attacking my chair. You can't see right now, but she is just destroying my chair. So that, to me, that's the scariest part about Innsmouth, is this fear of like what is really happening beneath the surface, you know? Jeremy, did you have anything that you wanted to add? Oh, is Jeremy gone? I think Jeremy dropped.
Jeremy's kind of gone right now.
Okay, all right. Hopefully Jeremy will come back. All right. So every deluxe expansion has introduced a few new mechanics. So this is the first expansion to include new punch board tokens, including these key tokens. We've got flood tokens, bless tokens, and curse tokens. From a game design perspective, what mechanics does adding punch board open up that you wouldn't be able to explore otherwise?
So yeah, the punch board is really interesting. There's so many things that we can do with punch board. I think the most important thing, the thing that people are going to be the most excited about, is finally sort of promising on what the extent of what a chaos bag can do. Oh, I'm back. So like one of the coolest things about the chaos bag is the idea that we could add new tokens and really play around with the tokens in the bag. So we're finally doing that with this expansion. We're adding some new chaos tokens, which we'll talk about more in a bit. So that's something we obviously could not do. We've explored the idea of playing with the chaos bag with card effects, like taking tokens out, adding some new tokens in via the campaign effects and that sort of thing. But this is the first time that we've had card effects that explicitly add new tokens that you've never before seen. Also, the other cool thing that we've done in the past, we've kind of used resources and damage and horror to represent different things in the past, like the damage tokens representing the infestation in the Waking Nightmare scenario, for example. But this is the first time we've been able to use Punchboard to really explore a theme in other ways as well. And it really helps you kind of get into the headspace of the scenario when you have tokens that are explicitly telling, like, this is a blank token. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So to talk more specifically about the Bless and Curse tokens, so these are a huge focus of both this expansion and then the entire cycle. What are these tokens and what do they do?
I can tell you this one.
Yeah, do it.
So we got Bless tokens. So there's 10 Bless tokens and 10 Curse tokens total. Some cards will add them to the Chaos Bag.
One sec, Ryan, you want to throw up the token image so people can see that while he's talking about this? Sorry, go ahead.
And then during a test, if you draw a Bless token, you'll get +2 to your test. And then you'll also have to draw another token. So if you have multiple Bless tokens in your bag, you could chain them into each other, one after another, and get a huge bonus to your test. And Curse tokens are essentially the opposite, where you get a -2 to your test, then draw another Chaos token. So there's lots of Curse tokens in the bag. You could get some very, very tough tests going on there where it'd be very difficult to pass. So it's a very, very cool mechanic. It's probably my favorite thing about the whole cycle, is just a way to really shake up the Chaos Bag. And so it's a lot of scenarios that the Chaos Bag is static. It's just the exact same tokens in there. And then playing in with these type of tokens, like, the bag is just constantly in flux. It's really hard to kind of predict kind of the math on it. A lot of times you can play a scenario and be like, if I'm up by 2 or 3, it's pretty good. Or if I'm up by 4, the only thing that'll wreck me is a auto fail. But once you start playing with Chaos tokens and Bless tokens, the math is just all over the place. So it's really, really a lot of fun.
And you may have mentioned this point, but after you draw the token, it doesn't go back in the bag, right?
That's true, yeah. It also gets removed.
Right. They're like a one-time buff or nerf to your skill test.
Yeah. Was this kind of the was this sort of the initial concept that you had for Bless and Curse tokens, or did they go talk to me through like the design of these, and did they have like kind of previous iterations? What led them to their current form?
Oh yeah, they had a pretty wacky original iteration. Yeah. If you're okay with me mentioning it on the stream, I can do that.
Yeah, go for it.
So I mean, originally the Bless tokens were going to be an Elder Sign effect, and then you would remove it, and the Curse tokens were going to be auto fails that you would then remove. And that was fun. It was very fun. It was a bit swingy, as
very
you can
swingy.
Yeah. So this, I think that the new the versions that are in the box now are really great for the reasons that Jeremy mentioned, where it really throws off your math and your odds. If you have even 3 Curse tokens in the bag, and you get an unlucky pull, you could all of a sudden be hit with like a -8 from out of nowhere, which is, you know, something that's usually reserved for like expert difficulty. But then they're gone, and then your bag is back to normal. So it's this cool like scaling kind of difficulty. The more curse tokens you add, the more likely you are to pull them until you pull them and then they're removed. The other cool thing about bless and curse tokens that I wanted to mention is that they are mostly for the like almost all of the effects that add them, with a couple notable exceptions, are in the player card pool. So as a result, you can take this mechanic in any campaign. It's not just limited to Innsmouth. And if you don't want to have curse tokens in your bag, just don't take the cards that generate them, and you're good for the most part.
For sure. That's super cool. Well, I see people clamoring to see some cards. So let's start off with the first new investigator we're going to show. Matt, do you want to read off Sister Mary?
Very, very much, gladly. So Sister Mary is the Nun. She is a 4 willpower, 2 intellect, 3 combat, 3 agility, believer, and she has the blessed trait. She's got 5 health and 9 sanity. During setup, add 2 blessed tokens to the chaos bag. So that symbol right there, that's the blessed token symbol. Reaction when the round ends, add a blessed token to the chaos bag. Elder Sign +1 if you succeed, add a blessed token to the chaos bag. I think you get the point.
Yeah, so she obviously has a really tight relationship with the blessed tokens in the game, since her investigator ability naturally supports a deck that just produces a ton of these blessed tokens and capitalizes off of them.
Yeah.
Were there specific areas or proficiencies that you're interested in exploring with each of the 5 new investigators being added in this deluxe expansion?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. Obviously, we wanted to explore the bless and curse mechanic. So Sister Mary was like a shoe-in for the blessed tokens. We also have a big focus on skill cards in this expansion with some of the investigators. And then we also have at least one investigator who is all about evasion, and not just evasion, but evasion and like keeping enemies on the table to consistently evade them or to do other things with them other than kill them, which is an interesting thing that we haven't really explored before.
That's awesome.
Jeremy, do you have anything you want to add?
Oh yeah, there's some of them just the investigators kind of felt naturally that fit me in this deluxe box, so I'm sure some guesses are going on out there. And yeah, I think there's overall a very nice, variety of investigators, so create a lot of cool decks to build around, and definitely work well in this campaign too.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's roll on to Faustian Bargain. Jeremy, you want to read that card off?
Sure.
Oh, they got the back for just a fraction. Screen cap that.
Faustian Bargain. It's a zero cost rogue event. It's a pact and cursed traits. It's got 1 willpower icon, 1 intellect icon. As an additional cost to play Faustian Bargain, add 2 curse tokens to Chaos Bag. That's a curse token symbol. And investigators at your location gain a total of 5 resources distributed as you wish. Pretty spicy.
Nice. So the Faustian Bargain kind of applies the curse tokens as a cost for playing the card, which definitely falls in line with Rogue's tendency to not always deal with the consequences of their actions. So we'll see more cards from other classes shortly, but can you talk a bit about how each of the 5 different classes have their own opportunities to interact with blessing curse tokens and some of the similarities and differences?
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that each class felt distinct with how they tackled this brand new addition to the game, so that different combinations of classes can deal with them in different ways, which is really cool. So Guardians love to, as you saw with Sister Mary, add blessed tokens to the bag at a rapid rate, and then, if possible, keep them in the bag and use them for other means other than just pulling them from the chaos bag and applying the +2. Survivors also like to add blessed tokens to the bag, but they deal with them a little differently. Instead of wanting to kind of hoard them, they capitalize on their investment by making it so that each time a blessed token is pulled, a bunch of stuff happens. Maybe they're stronger than just the +2, or other effects will trigger, so they kind of double down on the luck element. Rogues, as you can see, love to add curse tokens to the bag as a cost to get some kind of big effect, and then later have a lot of effects that let them dodge the downside and like kind of cheat the system. So they'll add a curse token, and then they'll have something that says like, I'm not going to deal with the repercussions of my actions, because that's rogue. Seekers similarly like to add curse tokens to the bag because they're all about kind of delving into forbidden knowledge and that sort of thing. But unlike rogues, they prefer to just keep as many curse tokens in the bag for other effects and just consequences be damned. And then finally, mystics, being kind of the wacky faction, have effects that deal with both curses and blesses, and converting them or doing effects that trigger if you have both of them in the bag, or just in general interacting with both mechanics at the same time.
For sure. So speaking of the mystics, Matt, do you want to read off Tides of Fate?
Yeah, for sure. All right. So Tides of Fate is a mystic event, 1 cost. It's got a wild icon. It is a spell, and it is blessed. It's got the fast keyword. Play during any action window or at the start of the round. You replace all curse tokens in the chaos bag with an equal number of blessed tokens. But at the end of the round, you have to replace all blessed tokens in the chaos bag with an equal number of curse tokens.
That's awesome. So this also it's cool on its own, but it also sort of opens up some really interesting possibilities if you have a full party dedicated to using bless and curse tokens.
Yeah.
Like the other investigators can stock the chaos bag with curse tokens, and then use Tides of Fate and other new cards to mitigate or reverse that. How do you see curse and bless tokens playing out in solo games versus like in group setting?
I think in general in solo, it's going to depend a lot on the deck that you make. Like I said, based on those 5 class archetypes, you might interact with bless and curse tokens in completely different ways, especially in solo. In a group setting, if everyone is playing around with the tokens, it's mayhem. There's just like tokens being added to the bag, being removed from the bag, being played around with, and like Jeremy was saying earlier, it really it changes the dynamic of the game in a really profound way. In terms of both like mapping out your turn and also deciding what you want to do with the cards in your hand. If, like, can we afford to add 2 more curse tokens to the bag? There's already 6 in the bag, and then the seeker player is like, ooh, add 2 more curse tokens to the bag. It's good for me, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love the cards like Faustian Bargain that add curse tokens to the cost, since they're very efficient and powerful. So a lot of times during multiplayer games, I'm the one adding curse tokens in there constantly, and somebody else will pull them out and give me a very dirty look, like, how dare you? So
yeah, worth noting that the bless and curse tokens affect whoever pulls them. The chaos bag is a shared entity. So Sister Mary, for example, adding bless tokens to the bag, that supports everybody. It's not just for her. And the same thing happens with Faustian Bargain. If I add 2 curse tokens to the bag, anyone can pull those curse tokens later, and then they're like, ugh. Why did we make that bargain? Which is why cards like Faustian Bargain provide a benefit to the group instead of just to the one person.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think a couple people in the chat asking about this. Have you guys run into any kind of issues with like fiddliness or like overhead in terms of like removing and adding tokens with this stuff?
It can happen. I think Tides of Fate is probably the one offender, the crucial offender.
That's like the far upper end.
Pull the tokens out of the bag and put them back in. Ultimately, it happens pretty quickly. And once you start playing with bless and curse tokens, it becomes like second nature. Like, oh, I pulled 2 bless tokens, they're out. And you kind of keep them off to the side so you know how many you have left and how many are in the bag at any moment. Because the product only comes with 10. You're only allowed to use 10. Even if you buy 10 copies of this product, you can't have 100 bless tokens in the bag. So, it becomes like second nature.
Yeah, it's very useful to keep the ones that aren't in the bag off to the side. You can easily see how many are in the bag at any time at all. It makes it much easier to play that way.
Yeah.
I see another question here from Swing Junkie asking if this is going to be a mechanic we continue to explore outside of this cycle, or if it'll be cycle specific.
For now, it's definitely limited to this cycle. It was a really fun mechanic that I think everyone's going to enjoy a lot. But obviously, adding new punch in every future box is not necessarily an option. So for now, it's just in this cycle, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yep.
We don't want future expansions to require the Innsmouth Conspiracy. You know what I mean? That would be like an expansion to an expansion to an expansion. That seems like a bad idea.
Yes. All right. Jeremy, do you want to read off the Predestined card?
Sure. Predestined is a survivor skill, fortune, and blessed traits. Max 1 committed per skill test. You may commit Predestined to any type of test. If this test fails, either add 2 blessed tokens to the chaos bag or remove 2 curse tokens from the chaos bag. Amazing art.
Yeah. That's a lot of the reason why I wanted to talk about it, to be honest, because that art is so good. So this card is really interesting to me because its art and its theme ties it pretty closely to the Innsmouth Conspiracy cycle, which also kind of features this coming syzygy that's gonna, mess everything up. When you're working on player cards, how closely do you typically tie those cards to the cycle and the events of the scenarios that are most closely associated with them?
I would say, generally speaking, the player cards are usually pretty cycle agnostic, or they're usually like divorced from the storyline, with some notable exceptions. So like when we do make an exception, we want it to really stick out. And this is, you're perfectly right here that this is one of those cards that is very closely tied with the story of this cycle. And there are obviously a few other cards as well that you'll see that are similar. Like in the Forgotten Age, we had a lot of expedition-y kind of themed cards, jungle-themed cards, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, we like to have the player cards be a smattering of themes and settings so that when you're taking them from one cycle to another, it doesn't feel super weird or out of place. It doesn't feel like, why is, I'm walking around the house always wins with a backpack, But if that's kind of the standard, if it's always the case that player cards are all over the place, then that doesn't stick out as much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's show another investigator here with Amanda Sharp. Matt, do you want to read off Amanda Sharp?
I will happily read off Amanda Sharp. Amanda Sharp is the student. Y'all probably guessed it. She's except you didn't guess the rest of it. 2 will, 2 intellect, 2 combat, 2 agility, Miskatonic, scholar. She's a seeker. She's got 7 health and 7 sanity. Forced at the start of the investigation phase, draw 1 card, discard the card beneath Amanda Sharp, choose a card from your hand, and place it beneath her. Then, response, at the start of a skill test you are performing, commit the card beneath Amanda Sharp if able. Do not discard it when the test ends. Elder Sign effect +0. For this test, you may double the number of skill icons on the card beneath Amanda Sharp. So, essentially, you're picking a card from your hand to stick beneath her, and that card is getting committed to every eligible test that you do for the remainder of your turn.
Yeah, which is crazy. I love that Amanda's low skill stats basically require you to make good use of her ability, and that although she rewards you the most for using skill cards to commit to multiple tests, it's open to committing non-skill cards as well. Right. What are some of your favorite cards to commit with Amanda?
Oh, geez, there's so many. I mean, so she is a seeker, but it's worth noting that, as you can see from the back, she can take any practiced skills level 0 to 3. So even though she has access to all seeker cards, she also has access to a lot of other cards from different classes. What I like to do with Amanda is kind of have a wide range of icons so that I can tackle any problem that comes up, or just a ton of wild icons, which means that my stats are just better for the rest of the round. So a skill like Inquiring Mind is really good for her. It basically turns her into a 5/5/5/5 as long as there's a clue on your location. But there's also nothing more fun than just committing a vicious blow to every attack that you do for the whole turn, and just taking a book and just wailing on something. That's Jeremy.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I think one of the obvious ones is deduction. Like when deduction underneath her, especially a level 2 one, is just absolutely amazing. So you can't go wrong with perception or Eureka. Just get more cards, and cards are great. So yeah, she's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's worth noting whatever card you commit or whatever card you put beneath her is gonna be discarded at the next round, no matter what. So you kind of have to time it right. You can't just like slap your best skill underneath her on a turn where you're only maybe doing 1 test, because then you're going to lose it, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe that wasn't worth it. You want to time it so that whatever skill you put beneath her you're going to make optimal use out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. For each of you, who is your favorite new investigator introduced in this expansion?
Jeremy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I love my man Dexter Drake. He's in this box.
Yeah.
I love just playing as like a magician. He's so cool. How he just kind of throw assets in out of nowhere and make them appear and disappear. So it's really cool to be engaged with an enemy and so then just throw down a spell that can, shriveling or something that can just take care of it out of nowhere and not have to worry about attacks of opportunity. And it works really well with a lot of those spells too, since you just throw them down and get rid of the old one and throw a new one down for cheaper and as a fast action. So it's just a lot of fun to play and very thematic, and just look forward to playing them in the real world.
Yeah, Jeremy's cursed Dexter Drake deck is a thing to behold.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. So unleash upon the real world here soon.
Yes. For me, I think my favorite investigator in the cycle is Trish Scarborough. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. She hits a class subclass combination that we haven't used yet, which is really exciting. And she really fits with the conspiracy, kind of government conspiracy angle that the story is trying to tell. So she's a fun investigator to take through this one, I think.
For sure. That's super cool. People very excited about Trish. We're not going to show her right now, but it will be exciting once we get there. All right, so we are pretty close to wrapping up here. Do you guys have anything else that you would like to say to everybody?
Did we talked a lot about the bless and curse tokens? Do we want to mention what the other tokens are, or leave that for?
No. Let's touch on it. Let's talk about it a bit.
Yeah, because I saw a couple questions in the stream about that. If you want to throw those up on the screen, okay, perfect. So there's the other two new token types in this expansion are flood tokens and key tokens. Key tokens are really exciting to me because this is something that we kind of explored in a fan favorite scenario from the Circle Undone for the greater good, which used chaos tokens to represent keys that you're trying to collect. We really wanted to explore that even more because I thought that there was so much more we could have done with that mechanic. So instead of just the chaos tokens being represented as keys, we actually made key tokens. And what's cool is you can't tell from the image here, but they're double-sided, and on the reverse side, they're unidentified. So you don't necessarily know which key you're trying to pick up until you pick it up and then you flip it over and you can see what key it is. I really like this. It kind of harkens back to like the old like Doom levels where it'd be like, you need the red key to open this door, and then you have to go find the red key. It let us do a lot with location management, and it also allowed us to create kind of like stretch goals where there are some scenarios where you don't need every key, but if you get them, they can unlock more stuff for you, which is really cool. And then, Jeremy, did you want to talk about the flood tokens at all, or do you want me to tackle that?
I can go ahead. So yeah, some scenarios will be using flood tokens where kind of represent, thematically what's going on in the whole cycle here, and things are kind of getting crazy in Innsmouth, so they'll be used on locations and different ways. And I don't know how much more specific we want to get with what they do, but they'll definitely affect the way a lot of ways the scenarios play in this cycle. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I love the art on them showing the alignment of the planets. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. I see some people asking about the sizes of the tokens. So obviously the bless and curse tokens are the same size as the other chaos tokens.
Yep.
And then basically the image on the screen is proportional from there, right?
I think so. Yeah, it seems like it. I think the flood tokens are about the same size as Clue and Doom, but as you can see, they have a completely different design. The key tokens a little bit bigger, but they've got that square design, which aside from resources, we haven't really used. So yeah,
absolutely. All right, so this was the Innsmouth Conspiracy. So we are announcing this a bit earlier than we typically do due to the current situation and product delays and stuff. We had teased this much earlier before this kind of went out, and we didn't want to make you guys wait a really long time until we got closer to the release, which is why we are announcing it now. But Innsmouth Conspiracy, current plan is that this will come out around like the beginning of October. We're still looking at getting back to regular product releases at the start of June with Weaver of the Cosmos in the US, and then continuing on in July with, I believe, Return of Forgotten Age, right? That's the one. Yeah. Yep. So I think then July, Return of the Forgotten Age, and so on from there. So we hope that that you all have enjoyed this stream. We're in about 2 weeks. We're gonna be back on FFG Live. We're doing a Marvel Champions AMA. So if you're into that game, then tune in for that. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
May 5th. We've got that special thing going up on May 5th.
Exactly. Yes, a special some more Arkham content for you guys to enjoy going up on May 5th. So check the website for that. The Innsmouth Conspiracy article will be going up right after this, and there'll be a lot more cards and whatnot for you guys to look at and enjoy in there. So that is it. We will see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.